Roman Catholic Church is actually in the Bible. This is crazy. Mark chapter 7, okay, this is verse 9. And he, Jesus, was saying to them, "You are good at setting aside the commandments of God in order to keep your traditions." Crazy, right? I'm just kidding. We're actually going to show something that is much more creepy than that. We're going to go to Revelation chapter 17. Brief backstory on this scene is John is getting visions. He's seeing revelations, things revealed to him by God. And these angels are the messengers of God that are revealing these things to John specifically. So John is about to see something quite interesting. Listen close. Then one of the 7 angels who have the 7 bowls came and spoke with me, saying, "Come here, I will show you the judgment of the great harlot who sits on many waters, with whom the kings of the earth committed sexual immorality, and those who dwell on the earth were made drunk with the wine of her sexual immorality. And he carried me away in the spirit into a wilderness. Then I saw a woman sitting on a scarlet beast, full of blasphemous names, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And the woman was clothed in purple and scarlet and adorned with gold and precious stones and pearls, having in her hand a gold cup full of abominations and of the unclean things of her sexual immorality. And on her forehead a name was written, a mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and of the abominations of the earth. Then I saw the woman drunk with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the witnesses of Jesus. When I saw her, I wondered greatly." Now you might be thinking, how is that possibly correlated to the Roman Catholic Church? Well, fortunately, this isn't really something that we have to interpret. Why? Because if we just keep reading, the angel explains exactly what John's seeing. Because John is seeing something that is masqueraded, it is disguised in this very weird image. And that image itself is a visual metaphor that the angel interprets for John. So let's keep reading. "And the angel said to me, 'Why do you wonder? I will tell you the mystery of the woman and of the beast that carries her, which has the 7 heads and 10 horns. The beast that you saw was and is not, and is about to come up out of the abyss and go to destruction. And those who dwell on the earth, whose name had not been written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, will wonder when they see the beast, that he was and is not and will come.' Here is the mind which has wisdom. The 7 heads are the 7 mountains on which the woman sits." Now, in some translations, this is referenced as the 7 hills on which the woman sits. Keep that in mind just for a moment. "And there are 7 kings. 5 has fallen, 1 is, the other has not yet come, and when he comes, he must remain a little while. And the beast, which was and is not, is himself also an 8th, and is one of the 7, and he must go to destruction. And the 10 horns which you saw are 10 kings who have not yet received a kingdom, but they receive authority as kings with the beast for 1 hour. These have one purpose, and they give their power and authority to the beast. These will wage war against the Lamb, and the Lamb will overcome them, because he is Lord of lords and King of kings. And those who are with him are the called and elect and faithful. And he said to me, 'The waters which you saw, where the harlot sits, are peoples and crowds and nations and tongues. And the 10 horns which you saw on the beast, these will hate the harlot and will lay waste to her and make her naked and will eat her flesh and will burn her up with fire. For God gave it into their hearts to do his purpose, both by doing their own common purpose and by giving their kingdom to the beast until the words of God will be finished. And the woman whom you saw is the great city, which has a kingdom over the kings of the earth.'" Now, I want you to look at something really cool in the Bible. See, we have one single place in the entire world that is referred to as the great city in the Bible, and that is Rome. Now, remember whenever it said that the woman who is the great city sits on the 7 mountains or on the 7 hills? Do you know that there's a single place in the entire world that throughout all of history has been referred to as the city on 7 hills? And that's also Rome. Now you see this beast, you see this woman who is adorned in jewelry, and she is holding a golden chalice, and in this chalice contains abominable things and the blood of the saints. Can you think of a religion that has a infatuation with drinking blood out of a chalice? Blood ones whom, they have scarlets, and they have purple, and they're literally adorned in jewels. The Roman Catholic Church, it functioned essentially as a shadow government for hundreds of years over a variety of different countries and nations, where multiple kings had the church over the king. Places like England, France, they all were underneath the Roman Catholic Church, where even the kings submitted to the Pope. And so when you see that this says that the great city has kingdom over the kings of the earth, that's interesting. But what's more interesting is whenever it says very plainly and very clearly that the great harlot had committed sexual immorality with the kingdoms and the kings of the earth. So it's an unnatural relationship between the kings of the earth and this which has kingdom over the kings, a shadow government. You see, we see something very fascinating and very interesting in the Bible, in Revelation. Now, this is coming from not a post-millennial worldview. This is coming from a historic premillennial worldview, which is where I think that the end times, the tribulation, are still going to come. And so because of this and various other points, especially like just the immediate following chapter in Revelation chapter 18, where it talks about how bride and bridegroom will never be heard inside of this woman again, that Babylon the Great has fallen, that she has become a dwelling place of demons and every unclean spirit, that all of the nations have drunk of the wine of her wrath, of her sexual immorality, and the kings of the earth who have committed sexual immorality with her. Even that the merchants of the earth became powerful whenever they were engaged in this sensuality with her. That is pretty crazy, pretty scary. You take these kinds of things, you see that it's describing this, and you even see that in the following part, you hear this voice from heaven yelling into the great city that says, "Come out of her, my people, so that you will not participate in her sins and receive her plagues, for her sins have piled up as high as heaven, and God has remembered her iniquities. Pay her back even as she paid, and give her back double according to her deeds. In the cup which she has mix double for her. To the degree that she has glorified herself and lives sensuously, to the same degree give her torment and mourning, for she says in her heart, I sit as a queen, and I am not a widow, and will never see mourning." Isn't that interesting? That this thing that's referred to as a queen, even though she's not a widow, that this is claiming to have this glory above things, that this is claiming to be a queen, this thing that is in Rome, this thing that has committed adultery with all of the kings, that has a kingdom over the kings. That within this, there are people inside of it, that this voice is yelling, "Come out of her, my people." Now, we see something in Revelation that's referred to as the beast, and we also see the false prophet. Now, the false prophet is essentially one that is going to be the equivalent of John the Baptist, that is preparing the way for the Antichrist, for the beast. Now, this false prophet essentially is going to be the one who says, "Hey, look, this is Jesus, he came back," actually pointing to the Antichrist, actually pointing to basically the devil incarnate, to try to convince those, even potentially the elect, to worship the beast. And we see in Revelation chapter 20 that the false prophet and the beast are the very first ones who will ever be thrown into hell, followed by Satan himself. Now, given all of this, given everything in here, I can say confidently that the false prophet is going to be a pope. Because you have so many people in this world who think that they're Christians, who are waiting for Jesus to come back, who believe that the pope is literally the speaker of God. But he is going to be a forerunner of the Antichrist. And whenever the Antichrist comes, the Pope is going to say, "Hey, look, it's a Jesus." And every Catholic will bow down and worship the false God that they blasphemously call Jesus. Of course, these are my theories, and I could be wrong. So I'll end this with a quote from the first actual Pope of Roman Catholicism in around the year 595. Where he himself said, "Anyone who is so called or wishes to be so called the universal bishop is in his prime a forerunner of Antichrist." That was a quote from Gregory I, or Pope Gregory the Great, who denied the position of the Pope, who said it was evil and actually refused to accept the title. I hope this made sense. Let me know what's next. Go to taco-talks.com. Consider supporting me on Patreon. Follow me on X, Instagram, and YouTube. God bless, and come out of her, my people. If you're